Just kidding. Okay. So I'm Krista, and this is Monica, and we're going to introduce ourselves. Some of you already know us really well, and some of you don't know us that well yet, and that's okay. And then we'll be talking about, kind of the flow of the call and what to expect, and then we'll be going right into our sales workshop, and we're going to give you all so much practice today. Today's not going to be a whole lot about giving you a lot of information, but it's going to be more of hands-on practice, which we think is so important for becoming a sales superstar. And as you also saw, I have a newborn here with me. So Monica and I have gotten really good at alternating between leading the calls based on little Lincoln's schedule because he decides what's up. Sometimes it's a little bit challenging, but we just roll with it. But just to let me introduce myself. So I'm Krista. I'm a life coach and business mentor. I started my coaching practice in 2016. I've worked with hundreds of female entrepreneurs. I was a life coach trainer for a coach training program and helped coaches to get certified through this International Coaching Federation. And I love teaching female entrepreneurs about marketing and sales. And I myself quickly rose to the top in my coach training company as the top saleswoman. I think sales is it just makes you feel like such a badass and makes you feel so powerful. And it's obviously the way that your money makes business and you change people's lives and you can keep your business running and you don't have to do soul-sucking corporate work if that's not what you want to do. So yeah, I'm really passionate about this work and I can't wait to help all of you hone in on your unique sales process. So Monica, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, and by the way, that's Celeste. She's going to be at her computer here shortly. She sent me a message, the 603 number. So okay. She will be joining us shortly on her computer. So I am Monica Hutchinson, and I am a real talk and public speaking coach, and I really focus on helping women to reclaim the voice that they've lost or given away to the world by whatever means so that they can say whatever the hell they want in a way that feels good and gets results. So that's my focus. I come from the world of corporate training, and within my corporate training job, I also was responsible for training sales to all of the top level salespeople that were going around the country, and we focused on more of a heart-based sales approach, even not quite as much as Krista and I do, but it was still more of a relationship building sales approach, even within a corporate environment, which was kind of innovative and progressive for the time. So I've learned to love sales, in a different way, just coming at it from an approach of connection, and that feels a lot better than probably what many of us have been taught over the years. So that's me. Really quick housekeeping items, and don't mind me if you guys see me looking over here. I have two screens. I don't ever want you to think I'm like multitasking. I'm only multitasking to look at my notes. So housekeeping items today, really quick. We're on a Zoom call. You're all used to these by now over the past few months. Just make sure you're muted when you're not talking. You've all done a great job of that. Make sure that if you need to go get water or you want to have food or whatever, just do all of that stuff. Take care of yourself. We will take about a 5 to 10 minute break. Around the top of the hour, we like to make sure that you're able to assimilate all the information, and giving yourself a brain break is really important so that you don't miss anything and you have a chance to go to the bathroom if you want to wait until then. And then we just ask for your active participation because you get out of this what you put into it. And like Krista said, we're going to be doing some breakout sessions, give you some opportunities to participate. And this is really going to be very interactive because that's the best way for you to understand and assimilate the information. So that's kind of where we're at. Krista, did you want to kick off the next section, or did you want me to?
I would love to, Monica. Thank you. All right. So we want to hear from all of you what, some things around what your sales process is like right now before we jump in. So, and we want you to use the chat box. Like Monica said, we want you to be an active participant in this conversation today. So, and we are very, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? We love to call people out if we don't think they're participating enough. So that'll keep you on your toes and paying attention. But all right, so the first question we want to ask you all is, what's your current process, or what's your current sales process look like for bringing on a new client? And Monica, if you could type that in the chat box for us. So what does your current sales process look like for bringing on a new client? And if you don't have one at this time, you can just be honest and say, I don't have one yet. We just kind of want to know, where you all are starting right now. We don't want to assume anything. So you can take a minute to think about it, put it in the chat box.
And Krista, let me know if he gets too fussy, if you need me to take over. I'm happy to.
Okay. Will do. He just had a big bottle, so we're hoping he gets milk drunk after that. Yeah. So what does your current sales process look like for bringing on a new client? And also pay attention if there's, certain emotions or feelings that are coming up around these responses. There's a lot of shame in sales for women, unfortunately. So don't judge whatever comes up for you, but just notice it. Be an innocent observer of your feelings today and honor them, honor where you're at. There's also a lot of fear that surrounds sales as well. So Kelsey said, right now I'm currently reaching out to my hot market, friends and family through social media and email. Through the initial conversation, we talk about goals. Perfect, Kelsey. That's exactly where I started out as well. As I started out coaching friends and family and some close acquaintances through Facebook. And I did that through reaching out through social media. So that's where, and email, that's where a lot of coaches start out. So that's perfect. Jesse said, I give a free coaching session or a workshop and then offer the next step as an upsell. Where did you learn that from, Jesse? That's brilliant. Generally, I'm just joking. We taught her that. Generally, I like to start by asking, have you thought about life coaching? Okay, perfect. I love that. Starting out with a power question, then showing them what is possible, and then seeing how we could be a good fit. Awesome. Sounds like a solid process. And Kelsey's got a cat in her background. I love when animals come on. Cool. Thanks, Jesse. So Melinda said, I send a client discovery questions ahead of time and schedule a 1-hour call. Then at the end of the call, I schedule another call. I send them instructions on next steps with more questions around trusting their gut. I also send them my prices and coaching package. Both calls are free. Love that, Melinda. That is so thorough. And I bet by the time that you get to that empowered yes, it feels so good on both parties, because it's like you really put them kind of through like a rigorous process, it sounds like. So that's awesome. And just so y'all know too, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So I don't want you to like be judging yourself based off what others are saying. Monica and I are big believers that we don't think there's one right way to do things or run your business. It's based off what feels good for you and your intuition. And so that's how we want to teach you and guide you today, is there's literally no one right way to do this. Okay, cool. So we're going to keep going. So the next question is, what's the hardest part of your sales process for you right now? What's the most challenging part of your sales process for you right now? Type in the chat box. What's the most challenging part of your sales process for you right now? Oh, and congratulations, Christy, on just announcing yourself as a life coach. That's a big deal. It's like coming out in the life coaching world. Okay, so Jesse said, handling the backlash and pushbacks from clients. Interesting. Okay. Christy said confidence. Okay, yep, that's probably going to be a very common answer for a lot of you. Linda said, making an effort to put myself out and ask for potential clients. So asking for the sale and marketing. Kelsey said, struggling with being confident in her abilities to market herself as a strong coach. All right. Thank you, everyone, for honestly sharing that. Let's go on to our next question is, so how do you want to feel when you sell? Right, so how do you want to feel when you sell? You hit your head again. Oh no. Oh, poor Jessica had a concussion last week, so she's recovering from that.
I'm gonna send you a bubble, Jessie.
So how do you want to feel in your sales process? Kelsey said she wants to feel strong, confident, and open. Jessie said on a lamp. Oh my goodness. The universe is really sending you some strong messages right now, Jessie. I'm glad you're okay. So Linda said she wants to feel natural and confident. Okay. Unattached, open, receptive. Yes, unattached is huge. Christy said I want to feel confident, sure myself, not judging. Perfect. Okay. And then our last question is, what is one new thing you want to walk away with from the call today? What is one new thing you want to walk away with from the call today? So basically setting your intention for the call. So Jessie said, find a way to manage objections. Okay, we will go over that at the end, Jessie. Kelsey said, strong sense of self-confidence to position myself as a wellness coach. Okay, beautiful. Linda said, I want to walk away with new ideas and approach to sales. All right. And Christy said, clarity on my process. All right. Amazing. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for participating in that first part, and that lets us know kind of, where we're all starting and what we want to accomplish. So that's amazing. All right. Monica, do you want to lead us in the next section?
Yep, I can take over. Okay, so we want to jump into, talking about mainly the process for sales calls today is what we're going to focus on. A lot of this can translate to how you interact with people in like a Facebook message or, in some of your actual marketing posts. But what we're really going to focus on today is hey Vivian, how do you interact on your actual sales call? So once you get the client on the call with you, what does that process look like? So first of all, we want to talk about the pre-sales ritual. And I want to ask, first of all, how many of you, raise of hands, how many of you have a pre-sales call ritual at this point? Okay, we got a little bit of one yes from Krista. I know she has one. Okay, cool. So what do you think we mean by like a pre-sales call ritual? And feel free to either type it in the chat or come off mute and share it.
Hey guys.
Hey Viv.
Sorry.
Good to see you. That's okay.
Yeah, so nice classes, Monica.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think you mean by that, like, how do you get the energy to the right place? And also perhaps if you're being tired or something like that, like how to revive in that way.
Yeah.
So you're there to show up in your best, in your highest, as your highest self. That's what
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Viv. So true. Exactly. Because especially, if it's at the end of the day and you're doing a sales call and you're like, oh, I've been through this day. I don't know about all of you, but when I was a new coach, I'm going to call myself out here. I used to cancel sales calls all the time because I was terrified of them and I didn't have the right mindset. And I was so worried about selling that I just didn't show up at all. And I'd be like, oh, let's cancel, let's reschedule, whatever. So having a pre-sales ritual ritual can be very helpful to get you in that right mindset. So, you know, for any of you who are very spiritual, things like have been mentioned here, mindset, meditation, essential oils, lighting a candle, things like that. Kelsey, I love that too, a different approach, having information about the potential client and then the meditating to gain energy. So both the kind of grounded side and more of the spiritual side blended together, totally up my alley. I love that. So it's really finding a process that feels good for you so that you get on that call present. And one of the biggest things, especially as a newer coach, but really any coach, is learning to be unattached from the outcome. Because I can tell you, if you show up on that call and your only goal is to get a new client, they will feel it. And it's not going to go as well. And I speak from experience. I know Krista does as well, of getting on that call and, you know, coming at it from a place of like, okay, well, I need to get the sale. I know I need like so many clients this month or whatever. And then you're not as present for your clients. So this is all about getting yourself in the right energy to show up. I'm actually just going to skip Krista into the next section because I think that's pretty good unless you want to add anything.
Yeah, so I typed in the chat box, you want to stay out of the potential client's bank account. And what we mean by that is we see a lot of new coaches, and we've done this ourselves, is you're so worried before you get on the call and you're saying things in your head like, oh my gosh, are they going to be able to afford me? You know, are they going to, are they going to want to spend money on coaching at this time? Are they going to see coaching valuable? Raise your hand if you've ever thought about that, if that thought's ever crossed your mind before getting on a sales call. Right. So I would guarantee that that's happened to all of us. So the whole point with this ritual beforehand is to keep you really in this abundant mindset and just showing up from a place of curiosity and really wanting to connect and serve the client. And if you show up from that place, it's going to go well every single time, whether they become a client or not. And like Monica said, if you show up from this place of like, they need to say yes, or I need the money, or I need the client, they are going to feel that desperate energy from you, and it never works well. It never turns out well. And most of the time you're going to end up losing the sale, or you're going to end up bringing on the wrong type of clients. So you do not want to skip the pre-selling ritual.
And it could be as simple or as detailed as you want to, right? I'm someone who can get easily overwhelmed by rituals, like if there's too many steps. So I would challenge you to maybe just think about what's one thing, and maybe write it down. What's one thing that I can do to start with? Or even if I already have a process, do I like my process? Is there something different I want to do? But what's one thing? Maybe it's just taking a couple deep breaths ahead of time. Maybe it's going for a walk. Maybe it's taking a few minutes to write everything that's in my head so you brain dump it out and you have a clear head. Maybe it's to pull an intuitive card. What's one thing that you want to do to create a pre-sales ritual?
Okay. Monica, do we want to have them put their answer in the chat box, or should we just move on to the next section?
If you want to share in the chat box, go for it. We can keep moving, but yeah, if you want to share it for accountability, please go for it.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you all. Okay, so the next part is you want to open up the call as a leader and an expert and a CEO and create trust for your potential client and letting them know what to expect. So this is so important to establish the tone of the call, and we believe that trust is the #1 ingredient in sales. So we want to help you today to figure out, a really good opening, a powerful opening that you can have for your call, and it sets you and your potential client up for success. Also too, you want to remember that this is not, this is not you chatting with a friend, right? You may be coaching a friend, and a lot of new clients do that in the beginning, and that's okay to coach your friends. You have to remember though to set boundaries and to let them know that you're going to be showing up as coach for them. So you guys also need to decide, what does that look like? What does that look like to tell someone that I'm here as your coach today, whether it is a friend or someone you don't know yet? I think you would treat anyone the same that you would get on a discovery call with if you know them prior or not. So we would love, let's see, Monica, are we going to have them type in the chat box, or is this where we're going to do breakout rooms?
Let's see here. There were a couple other things, I think, with opening up and creating trust before we jumped into the role play or the breakout room. So I can jump in if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So Essentially, one of the biggest things when it comes to the introduction of the call is to give people information about what the call is going to look like. Okay, so I have gone to school for like adult learning and stuff like that, and with my training job did a lot of work around that. And one of the biggest things when it comes to adults and the way we like to learn that differs from children is that we like to know what's coming. We need to know, how is this going to show up throughout this call or whatever the process is, because it frees up our brain to not worry about it. Have you ever been in like a presentation or something and you're sitting there and or like a training and you're like, I don't know what's coming next. I don't know where we're going from here. And your brain is just like, okay, I guess they're just going to talk at me for now and we'll figure out later like what we're going to do. So it's kind of the same thing. And we'll show you here shortly what that can look like. I'm going to do a demo of what this can look like as well. But one of the biggest parts of that, first letting them know what to expect, is kind of explaining what the call is going to look like and then asking permission from them to move forward. So, here's what the structure of this call is going to be. Is that okay with you? And chances are they're going to say yes, but this is also where I want to throw one particular piece in. So what this can look like is, hey, you know what? We're going to do this call today. I want to get to know you a little bit better and understand where you're coming from. And then if it feels like we're a good fit, I'd like to transition into talking about how we might work together in the future. Is that okay with you? It's the sales part that you want to ask for permission for, because then it's not a surprise at the end. And this is where I think a lot of new coaches, it can feel kind of yucky to start and we'll talk more about the transition and the closing later on, but this is where it can feel a little yucky because you're going on the call and if you haven't set it up this way, you get to the end and you're like, so yeah, that was fun. Here's my packages, you want to work with me? And it's awkward, okay? So this helps to set that up ahead of time and say, hey, this is where we're going. And one thing I will say too, and Krista, I know we have this later, but I'll include it now, is just because you tell them that you're going to talk about offers and working with them later doesn't mean you have to. Okay? If you get through a call and you are just not vibing with this person and you're like, they want something that I don't offer, I feel something weird, and pay attention to your intuition. If it feels weird, you probably don't want to work with that person. So pay attention to that. And if you get to the end of the call and you're like, I don't want to work with this person, it is totally okay to close out without talking about the sale. Okay. So give yourself permission for that as well. When it comes to showing up as the leader, like Krista said, remember that you're leading the call. You're not talking to the person like they're a friend. You're going to be confident and professional. And this is, again, where you're going to let them know what to expect on the call. So I want to do just a quick demo of this, and I'd love to do it with someone on this call, just, acting like the client, like we're on a discovery call together. Who might be willing to do that with me? I promise it's not hard. You don't even have to do much. Kelsey, okay, thank you. Okay, if you want to come off mute for a second here, and actually I'll probably do most of the talking, but let's just say that you are somebody who found me on my website and we are getting on a discovery call together and we're just starting the call out, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Kelsey, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Thank you so much for joining me on this call today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, so I just want to give you a heads up on kind of the flow of this call so that we both know where we're going. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, so essentially what we're going to do is I just want to get to know you better, see where you're at in your life, what kind of things you're facing right now, and what you might potentially need my help with. And then after we get to know each other a little bit, if it feels good for both of us, then we can transition into talking about what it might look like to work together. Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kelsey. Simple as that. Okay, and I'd love to stop for a minute and ask, how does that feel to everyone? And Kelsey, I'm going to start with you. How did that feel for you?
Just super easy and conversational. Like, it didn't feel salesy at all.
Yeah. And one thing I'll add in there too. So Kelsey, if you and I had a pre-existing relationship and we were on a call, what I would add in there is, okay, Kelsey, I know we're friends. And I just want to let you know, like, this might look a little bit different than our normal chats, okay? So I want to put that out there so that you don't feel weird or think that I'm like being, I don't even want to say bitchy, but like different, think that I'm being different than when we interact as friends. So I just want to make sure we're both on the same page, and I'm going to show it for you as coach today because that's what you asked me for, okay? Yeah.
Monica,
Yeah, go ahead, Lydia.
can you do a role play with friends? Because I was seeing where people are saying they reach out to their friends, and I haven't done that out of fear of, oh, they know me in a different industry, and then I'll go into friend mode. Well, probably, I won't know how to draw the line or where to, be taken serious as a coach. So I would love to see what a role play would look like if I'm your friend, and you're transitioning over as a coach, but we've been friends for like 10 years or whatever, and you know me in a different industry. How would that look like? And you're trying to, you promoted yourself, and then I was interested because I love what you said. So,
Yeah, so essentially, and thank you for the question, Lydia, essentially it would look just like what I was just saying, is setting the stage with them. And it will feel weird for you as a new coach at first. I will tell you that on the call, throughout the call, it will feel a little weird for you to stay in that coach role. And you may find yourself continuing to try and go back to friend role. But that's where you need to practice a lot in, getting really clear. And actually, I kind of like what you said. This may have not been where you were going, but it could be interesting for you to role play a sales call with a friend, maybe somebody who hasn't reached out to you to work with you yet. But like, if you have a friend and you wanted to try this out with them and be like, will you just talk to me like if you were potentially interested in my services, and maybe like play around with it from them, because you might get some really good feedback from them on, okay, as your friend, this is what felt weird. Here's what felt really good in switching over to a professional relationship. One other thing I will say too, for all of you, is you may decide you don't want to coach friends. I made that decision after coaching several friends that I didn't want to do it anymore because it was too weird and I was too much in their shit. And I knew all the stuff that was going on in the background that was contributing to the problems they were having, but I didn't want to bring that in and be like, yeah, but I know about this other thing and this other thing, because they hadn't told me that in that relationship. So you also have the option as you go to decide whether you want to work with friends, or there may be certain friends you do and certain ones you don't. Krista, did you want to add anything into that?
I think you covered it all. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. What we want to do right now, and Jesse, I'm just checking here. I've had some of those moments recently where women are even like, but how can I work with you? And I didn't want to work with them. Jesse, how do you handle that?
I mean, I was like, yeah, sure. Like, you can check out my group, or you can follow me on my email newsletter, or, you can check out my group coaching. Like, I didn't want to work with her one-on-one, basically. And I also, like, I told her, I was like, I think you need still therapeutic help, and I'm not going to be able to help you that. She wasn't in breakdown or anything, but like also she just wasn't a fit. So yeah, I just forwarded her to my other channels, basically.
There's a lot of really great things in what you said, Jesse. Thank you for sharing. So first of all, if you have other channels that are less intensive to point them to, that's a great option too for them to still follow you, because sometimes even if you don't feel like working with someone at that point, it doesn't mean over time that you might not build a relationship, and then it could evolve into you wanting to work with them. But people may be in a place where the therapy is more fitting. That's also a thing that we all need to continue to be aware of as coaches, is we're not therapists. And if you see something that is really a therapeutic issue, it is your duty, honestly. I mean, for any of us who are ICF certified especially, but anyone really, it is your duty to say, hey, this is really outside the scope of coaching, and this is something that would be better suited for a therapist. And you're not a bitch for saying that, okay? I want to put that out there. Like, you can come at it from a very loving place. And even if there's somebody who you're like, I don't really want to work with them, and they're like, but I want to work with you, and maybe you're newer and you don't have other channels, it's okay to very lovingly say to them, hey, you know what? I'm feeling like what you're looking for right now isn't quite aligned with the work I do. And then you can make a recommendation out to somebody else. You probably all know other coaches, or you can go in Krista's Build Your Life Coaching Biz group and drop a feeler out there and tell them, you know what, I'm going to go put your request out. If it's okay with you, I'm going to put your request out there and see if there's another coach you can talk to. That's always an option too. Okay, so what we want to do now is we're actually going to put you in breakout groups, just 2-person, 2, 4, 6, 8. And actually, Pooja and Celeste, can you let me know if you're able to come off mute and talk, because this will only work if you are. So I need to know whether you'll be able to participate. Or if you can drop a note in the chat if you're not able to. What I might do is just put Pooja and Celeste together in case they're able to talk to each other. So what we're gonna do is put you guys in breakout sessions for just about 5 minutes, and we're gonna have you try this out with each other. So essentially, we're gonna give you a quick scenario that you can try out. If that scenario totally doesn't feel like you, then bring one that works for you. Okay, we like to give options, but we never want you to have to do something that doesn't feel intuitive to you. But Krista, can you give the example that you initially had shared on something that they can kind of try out with each other?
Yeah, so you have a website up advertising your coaching. The client found you through your website and they booked a discovery call with you, and basically they need help with their love life. They want to find a new relationship, and so they are coming to you. You are a life coach, but like I said, they have the goal of finding a new relationship after a recent breakup. So that is our scenario.
Give me just a minute here.
I want to keep it real simple and easy. This is something that, you know, could really well happen. But at the same time, if you don't feel called to do this, you can always make up your own situation. But we just know sometimes people like to have that guidance and an exact example to work off of.
Okay.
So like,
go ahead.
Yeah, like one person is the coach, one is the client, and like, do we switch in between,
Yes.
or do we just do it one? Okay.
Yep, thanks, Jesse. And I'll drop a note in the breakout room that tells you when to switch as well. So you'll get a notification on that. And then I'll call, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was saying, and so remember too, you're not going through an entire call right now. You are just
the beginning.
practicing your opening statement to position yourself as a leader and the expert and to create that trust for the potential client. So that's it, just working on the opening right now.
And it'll probably go pretty fast, so feel free to ask each other for feedback. We're all coaches in some capacity here, so try it out, see how it feels with each other, and ask each other for feedback on how that felt or what you could do differently, okay? So 5 minutes, we'll drop a note in there at 2.5 minutes to tell you to switch, and then we'll bring you back. So here we go, and hopefully Pooja and Celeste, you're able to get to each other. You can drop me a note in the chat if you have any problems, and I'll reassign you. Here we go.
Have fun. Bye.
Pooja may not even get it if she's not really on here. So let me send Celeste a message.
Yeah.
I know Celeste was like moving to a different place. 40 after, sorry, I'm just looking at the time.
To jump off early today as well.
Celeste did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool. I'm thinking 39. Okay. So 41 after, I will put a message out that says switch if you haven't already. Cool. Well, I'm going to pause it.
There's a coach that I'm friends with, and we were going to talk about collaborating and doing a Facebook Live together. And we got on the call, and she started pitching me that she wanted me to work with her and do a 5-hour VIP day for $1,600. And I had no idea that this was going to come up, and it felt so terrible. And now I'm like, I don't ever want to work with her again. And I might have considered working with her at one time because I was so caught off guard, and she didn't even ask for my permission to sell to me. So again, we just want to like reiterate over and over again, it is so important to ask for permission before you jump into talking about your offerings and inviting someone to work with you. And this just helps the potential client to feel in control and to feel safe. And I walked off that, I didn't feel safe at all after walking off that call.
Well, and Additionally, you have to remember you're setting the stage for the coaching relationship on this call. And asking permission is such an important part of the coaching relationship. Like you'll get to a point with your clients where they're so tired of you asking for permission, they're like, just stop asking me. But that's okay. You want to show up front that you are always going to ask for their permission to either, whether it's, give a situation of your own and ask for, how they feel about it, or to share something that is something that they may be caught off guard by too. So this is just establishing that trust and building that connection so they know how you're going to show up in the future. So, and that's why we call it the double ask, because at the beginning you've asked for permission to come to this transition point and give your services at the end of the call. Now you get to this section, they may be feeling, so we talked about, you might feel like not a connection with that person, that you don't want to work with them. They may be feeling like they don't want to work with you. So you want to also give them the opportunity to say no. If you're like, is it okay if we transition into talking about how we could work together? You want to give them the opportunity to say no, because they may have changed their mind, and that's totally okay. And also you want to give them the opportunity to say yes again, because the more you get someone to say yes to you, the easier it becomes for them to continue saying yes to you. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes down to it, we like to use the KISS acronym. Keep it simple, stupid, keep it simple, silly, however you want to say it to be nice with it. But keep it simple. Figure out what option that you have is going to be most fitting for them, and then focus on the results that they're going to get. So it's not so much about like, I have this package and you get all these frills and gimmicks from it, all this cool stuff, and I send you this thing and this thing. It's really about what are the results that they're going to get. And this is where the active listening comes in from before, where you'll have taken notes and you use their words. Okay, you said you were looking for this. Yes, this is what's going to come out of this package that we're going to create together. When it comes to your pricing, give your pricing. Okay, this is one of the things, especially new coaches, and I've been there, get really wishy-washy about. We get nervous about stating our pricing a lot of the time. This is like Krista said before, don't be in their bank account. Give your pricing and give them the opportunity to tell you if they have problems with it. Some of them just may be like, yep, that's cool, that's fine. Others of them be like, ooh, no, I don't know if I can really do that, or that's way. The one thing that threw me off my game once is when someone was like, oh, really? That's way more than I thought it was going to be. And I wanted to be like, I want to punch you right now. Don't let that throw you off your game. It's not about you, honestly. It's about their own money stories that they have. But let them tell you if they have problems about it. And this is where we'll transition in a minute to talk about objections and where you get to get curious. Krista, I'm going to let you jump in now if you have any more to say about that, and then also do the quick kind of demo of what this could look like with somebody.
So did you want me to talk more about addressing objections?
Not quite yet. We're going to jump into objections after this, but if you want to now have somebody do the role play with you, that would be good.
Yeah, definitely. So who wants to be my volunteer so I can tell you about my amazing coaching package? Okay, Lydia, perfect. All right, so Lydia, let's see, I'm trying to think how we should set this up. Okay, so I'll just jump in and start. So Lydia, based off what I heard you saying today with, you're looking to get into a new relationship, you just got out of one recently, you feel like you're ready to meet the man of your dreams, I feel like that we would be a perfect fit to work together. Is it okay if I now tell you about my package that I have that I think that could help you with this?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So how I like to work with my clients is I work with them in a 6-month capacity, and we meet every week for 60 minutes. And I also like to offer support in between the session as well to make sure that if anything comes up in between that you have help before so you don't have to wait a week before getting help. And also the way those sessions look like is you're going to come with a coaching request at the beginning of every call, and I'm going to make sure that all your goals are addressed, and by the end of the call we're going to create an action plan together. And what that can look like is giving you journal assignments or watching videos or reading books based off what comes up. And then on top of that too, because you said yes to working with me, you're going to get to attend all of my online workshops for free as well. So what questions do you have around that?
I don't have any questions. I'm excited to work with you.
Sounds good. Perfect. And so the price of that package, it's going to be $7,700. Or if you want, you can do a 6-month payment plan. Which one would work better for you?
Payment plan.
Payment plan. Okay, perfect, great. And so really, you know, the results that I see us helping you to get is helping you to figure out, you know, what type of relationship you want to attract and what's happened or what's come up in past relationships before that haven't worked so well. And, you know, help you to really get in a good relationship with yourself first. So that way, when that new guy does come in, you're ready to go, you feel healed and you're empowered and you're your most confident version of yourself. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
If only they were all so easy. Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, the basis behind that is like, I just, you know, went over the highlights of what a coaching package can look like. Really selling a life coaching package is actually quite boring. Most of them are going to be very similar. It's like 3 months, 6 months, meet every week for 60 minutes. I offer support in between. And, you know, these are a few of the other things I bring in. You don't really want to focus too much on the details of that. People aren't really interested in that part. They more want to know about like the results that you're going to help them to create. So again, don't focus too much time or overwhelm people with the details of your package. Just kind of keep it light. They can always read about this on the website, on your website as well. What I like to do is I send someone a pre-questionnaire call before they get on a discovery call with me, and I have them go onto my website ahead of time, hoping that they look at the packages and prices. So that way I don't have to spend a lot of the time explaining that on the call, because I don't want to create sticker shock for anyone. So I actually prefer when my clients know what my prices are ahead of time before coming onto the call.
This is another thing too, and I mean, this kind of goes along with objections too, but where you want to pick the best, like the most aligned package you have. If you have multiple packages, pick what is the most aligned package and start there. Don't give them like, well, I have this and I have this and I have this and I have that. That's overwhelming. So start with what you think is going to be most aligned, because then we'll go into objections here shortly. But then if they're like, I can't afford that price tag, then that's where you can, you know, coach them around the objections. But if it really comes down to it and that's not going to work for them, then like Jessie said, you can be like, well, I have this group program that you can join, or I have this online Facebook group, or whatever that is. But you want to just start with the one thing. And then from there, work through the objections. And then if you need to bring in other options, then that's where you bring in the other options.
And with pricing too, so if you guys saw me do it, you say your price and then you pause, and you don't have to like go on and explain why you did the pricing that you did. So you say, this is what my price, and then this is what, you know, my 6-month price is. And then you just pause after that. And it's kind of like when you ask a powerful coaching question, you need to pause and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, they're not saying anything. Are they freaking out? Should I say something? But people their brains need time to like, to think about and process new information. So same thing, you say your price, you say you're paying full price, you say your payment option price, and then you just pause. And then you say, you know, which one would work better for you? And that's just, I mean, you don't have to do it that way, but that's the advice that I've been given, and I think it works the best.
Okay, so at this point, what we want to do is we're going to put you in breakout sessions. You'll be with somebody new this time, and we want you to practice saying your package out loud. So you can do this however you want, and you know, the other person is just going to kind of like what Krista did. Just you can describe whatever scenario fits your type of coaching. Like if you do health coaching, you could say, okay, I heard you had these health goals, whatever. Just make it up like something you would be doing on a call, and then give your package. Now, I will say, as the other person, you can choose what kind of person you want to be. You can ask additional questions. You can give objections and start leading us into our final role play if that feels okay. Actually, I just thought of something, Krista. Here's what I'm going to do. This time, we're going to have, this is different groups than you were in the first time. We're going to mostly just focus on your package. But when you hear the other person give the package, I don't want you to object to it this time. I want you to write down your objections. When we come back and do our final role play, I'm going to put you with the same person, and then you won't have to go through the spiel again. You'll just get to bring up the objections. Cool? It'll save us a little bit of time. Okay. What questions do y'all have before we go into the breakout sessions?
So sorry, one more time. This time it's about telling our packages and
That's it.
writing down the objections.
Exactly. Yep. So just, I'm sorry?
They need to object the package, basically.
Not on this one, but come up with your like objections that you might have. And we'll talk about what the most common objections are here shortly. So just be thinking, if you heard this package, what objections would be coming up for you on a call with somebody if you were the potential client? And then this time we'll just focus on say it out loud, get it out there, give each other feedback. How did that feel? How did that sound just based on delivery? And then after that, we'll come back and do objections. We'll give you 7 minutes for this one. So give you a little bit more time and I will give a 3.5-minute warning in the middle. Okay.
And if you guys don't have an offering set up yet, just make up one on the spot and maybe this can be what turns into your next offering. So I don't want to assume that everyone here has an offering ready to go, but.
Good call. Good call. Okay, here we go.
Bye. Have fun.
Back.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Sorry, Jesse.
It's all right. Okay. How did that go for everybody? Good. Feel free to jump in or to type a comment. Oh, good. Glad you had fun, Melinda and Lydia. That's awesome. Yeah, you know, saying your pricing out loud sometimes can be the scariest part. So getting a chance to practice that a few times can be very helpful. Okay. So Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you to head on into everyone's favorite topic.
Objections. All right. Who here loves getting objections?
And I want to pause for just a second because Kelsey jumped in and said saying a price is nerve-wracking. I didn't know, Krista, if you wanted to ask any questions about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Kelsey, is it okay to do a little bit of coaching around that?
Sure.
Okay. So what's nerve-wracking about it for you?
I think just saying like, this is what I'm worth and my thoughts and my skills are worth this. It's really scary to announce that.
Yeah. So I want to challenge you a little bit here because, and you may have heard people say this, but like you're worth infinite amounts of money, right? But like you need to start separating yourself from your business because when we're making business decisions and pricing, that's all it is. It's a business decision. It's not us as a person. And when we make it personal, that's what makes it nerve-wracking. So what are you hearing within that?
I'm thinking that even though this is my brand, it's not me. And so just learning to separate me as a person from my business that has my name on it.
Yeah, exactly. And like you want to look at your business and say like, this is what my business needs to survive. This is what I need to charge. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, he's got me. Okay. Right. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, that really helped when my business coach like challenged me in that way. And she said like, price your things based off what your business needs to be profitable. That kind of like made me look at it in a whole different direction and like, oh, well, it's not about what I'm worth or it's not about my self-worth or anything like that. And so I don't know if that helps or not to kind of like separate yourself from your package. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, thank you for being honest about that. We always appreciate, vulnerability on here and we all have fears around money stuff. Kelsey, Monica, or actually I think it was just me. I hosted a workshop right before I had Lincoln in April and it was all around money stuff. And you should have heard all the coaches on the call bringing up all their money fears and worries, and we all have it. It's all there. And that's why I think building a life coaching business is the best personal development course you'll ever take for yourself because it's going to say all your shit's going to come up to the surface essentially. So it's a good thing, but it can be uncomfortable. Okay, so objections. We were seeing who loved objections. No one raised their hands. Who hates objections? Who hates objections here? Just be honest. Okay. I'm going to be honest. I'm not even quite at the point where I'm like, yes, objections, bring it on. We want to get to that place, but, and it is possible, but objections are good. And if we can change our relationship with objections, that's really important, because we don't want to fear them, and we don't want to hate them, and we don't want to be like, oh, I hope I don't get them. You want them to come up on a call. It's really good when they come up on a call, because it means that the client is interested. If they weren't interested, they would just be like, oh, no, I don't want this, or no, I'm not interested. But when they start, asking questions and saying, oh man, well, I want this, but that sounds like a lot of money. I don't know if I can afford it, or I think I might need to talk with my partner first. Like they really are basically saying, like, I really want this. I just don't know how to get there yet. And that means like there's some fears and some blocks and stuff coming up for them. And you guys are coaches. You know how to guide someone through that kind of stuff. Or if you haven't, you will. This is what coaches do. We help people get over their greatest fears and stories and their limiting beliefs. And that's all that an objection is. Okay. So we're going to help you. We're going to help you all to fall in love with objections. Also, too, we want to make sure that when objections coming up, that we're honoring people, we're addressing them from a place of love and compassion, and we're not bullying people, right? We're not shaming people, we're not pushing them, we're not bullying them. Once we start doing this is when sales gets a bad reputation. And this is what is going to have the client leave the call being like, oh, that was slimy, and that was icky, and I feel like I just talked to a used car salesman, right? So we really want to be able to address objections from this place of love. And so I have this sign here. Let me grab it. Oh no. So I keep this as accountability for myself. I keep it right next to my desk. How can I empower here? My business coach told me to do this, Lacey. If you can always remember to help to empower your clients during any part of the sales call, especially the objections, they are going to feel so good, and it's going to work very much in your favor. So I think it's a good idea to have that as a reminder for everything, is how can I empower here? Because that's essentially what you're doing on a discovery call, and especially with the objections. Also too, is you want to remember that people buy in different ways. This is not a cookie cutter process. Some people, they buy right on the spot. Some people, they take time to process. I'm going to let you guys know, I never say yes to a big sales purchase right then and there. I need time to think about it. And it doesn't mean that I'm not interested. It just means I really want to make sure that I'm saying yes. Some people need to consult with their partners first. And again, we want to really and I've made this mistake before. I'm like, oh, they're an empowered woman. They shouldn't need to talk to their man about, needing to purchase something for their business. But a lot of people, they do their finances with their partners. And you gotta remember, this is a big investment that a lot of people are making. And sometimes this is the biggest investment they've ever made on themselves or their business, right? So we wanna come from a place of empathy and compassion with that as well. And we want to make sure we're not shaming someone if they say that they need to talk with their partner. Sometimes it is a way to get out of the sales conversation. I'm not going to say that it's not going to be that, sometimes people will use that line, but a lot of times people, that's their value system, and you want to honor their value system.
I want to throw in with that too, and Krista, you'll probably get here too, but when it comes to these sorts of things, if people aren't ready to make a decision on the call, Krista and a lot of other people may say, like, you've got to make it happen on the call. Krista and I are not of that belief at all. Like she said, people buy in different ways. That being said, it's really important if someone's like, I need to talk with my husband or whatever, this is where you could be supportive of them and be like, what support do you need from me to have that conversation? And where you can help coach them through some of that too, so they know what questions, because sometimes, especially a lot of women from our experience, get really scared about talking to their partner about this big investment in themselves. That's really speaking up for themselves in a new way that they're not used to. So this is where the coaching can come in, where you can help them figure out how to have that conversation. And then also setting a follow-up with them is really important. So if they're like, I need to talk to my partner, I need to go see my finances. Okay, cool. When can we follow up to talk and just see where you're at and what questions have come up? That's really, really important, because otherwise they are going to disappear. Like 95% of the time, they're not going to come back and seek you out to close the deal. It's the what do they say, the fortunes of the follow-up or whatever it is. Yeah. So just wanted to throw that in.
So yeah, thank you for adding that. And so I want to hear from all of you. I think it's important for you all to understand what's your buying process. When you're a client, how do you buy? So if you can let me know in the chat box, what does that look like for you? Because if you don't understand that about yourself, it's going to be hard to understand that about your potential clients. And probably most likely you're going to attract a lot of potential clients that are very similar to you in how you buy. So Christy said she needs time to reflect. All right. Like I said, I'm the same way. I need time to process. I actually have information somewhere too. There's actually 6 different buying types. I'll have to find that for you guys. It's really interesting. There's a whole psychology thing, right? We're all about the mindset. A lot of psychologists end up becoming life coaches. There's a whole psychology behind selling. It's fascinating. Vivian said it changes, now more reflection, slower. Okay. Yeah. I think, Vivian, when we did our first sales call, you said yes right away, which I'm happy you did. But yeah, it can definitely change too. Kelsey said, let's see, I do a lot of front end research. Yep, there's a lot of people who want to do research, so I usually don't join a call until I know my answer. Okay, beautiful. Linda said, I need time to think about it. Yep, I know that about you, Melinda, and want to make sure I can commit to the coaching process. Yeah, absolutely. Jesse said, if I buy something completely new, I need time to reflect and do my own research. If it's a more trusted site, I can be super intuitive. Yeah.
I think it's almost a compliment when people want to think something through, because they want to show up for you. They want to, because we've had an objection when someone said, I don't know that I can show up the way that I want to for you guys. And that's a compliment. And then guess what? We didn't get super up in her business about that. And she ended up signing up for the program like 2 days later. So if you respect where people are at, and you're able to meet them where they are and, try and work through some of the objections with them, but also give them that space. Sometimes they still come around too, even if they're a firm no on a call. So a no is not a bad thing. That's something Krista and I also like to teach, is the empowered no, the empowered maybe, and the empowered yes. We want people to feel good no matter what their answer is on that call. And then it's about what's our follow-up? How do we stay in touch with them? All of those different things.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So should we do a demo and then we'll do role playing? Okay.
Yeah. So who wants to be our objections person?
Actually, Melinda, do you want to do it? Because Melinda and I have actually done this before.
I know, I've done it with you before. Sure.
Okay. Just so you all know, I just released my first course. It's called Build Your Life Coaching Business in 7 Days. And I asked Melinda to be my sample client on one of the calls, and I'm showing how to lead a discovery call. So we've already done this rodeo before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're going to keep this really short, but so same, kind of situation before, Melinda, is that you found me on my website. You're looking for a life coach because you keep putting everyone else's needs ahead of you. We just had our sales call. We've just determined that we're a perfect fit to work together. I told you what my 6-month coaching package is, and now you're worried about the price, because just so all of you know, money is probably going to be the #1 objection that you get once you start charging. Okay. All right. So Melinda, the package is, it's a 6-month package. It's $7,700 or it's $900 a month. So, which one works better for you at this time?
Ooh, that's a lot. Can you mention that bigger number again?
Yeah, it's $7,700 pay in full.
Okay. And what's the payment package on that?
Or it's $900 for 6 months. So $900 a month times 6 months.
I'll be honest, I'm concerned because I I pretty much support the family, and I have a couple of kids, and but I really need the support, but that is a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of pulled between two things there, supporting my family and supporting my business.
Yeah, I totally hear what you're saying right now. It's a big investment. It's a big investment in you, and it's a big investment in your business. And I remember the first time that I said yes to working with a life coach for 6 months and invested a good amount of money. I'm going to be honest with you, Melinda, I was very nervous about it. So I understand where you're coming from right now. But I also want to remind you too, is that the reason that you came onto the call with me today is you said that you've been putting everyone's needs ahead of your own for quite some time. And you're in this place now where you want to start feeling better and being focused on your own needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You make it sound so good. I do want to focus on my needs in my business, because that can help with the business, and so.
And I want to ask you, what makes you the most nervous with spending this money right now in this investment?
That's a good question. I think what makes me most nervous is the fact that my business won't grow. If I invest all this money, my business won't grow.
So what I hear you saying is you're afraid that if you spend the money, you're, with this relationship, that you're not going to get results.
Yes.
Yeah. Has that happened for you before in the past, where you've invested a lot of money and you felt like you didn't get the results?
Yes.
And so what happened with that situation?
Well, when I think back to it, I think that I also didn't 100% wasn't ready for it and wasn't able to commit the way I wanted to. So I think that I'm partly disappointed with how I showed up. And so that was the problem. And so this time's different, I know, and I can control it a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really easy to look at things that happened in the past, and it sounds like that was really, disappointing for you, but it sounds like you're in a different place now in your life, and you're able to show up in a different way, to where maybe you're able to get, better results this time than based off where you're at before.
Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate that. I do feel like I'm in a different place.
Definitely. So, I know that I'm going to fully show up for you in this relationship, Melinda, and I'm ready to help you create results, but how can you trust yourself to fully show up and to get the results that you desire?
By showing up and making sure that I put 100% of my energy into it, and really doing the coaching with you, really listening to you. And I feel like you're acknowledging me.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
So are you ready to do that at this time? Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Okay. All right. So I'd love to quickly hear from all of you, and thank you, Melinda, for demoing that with me again. What did you guys notice in that process? I would just love to hear from you. Or, what are some things that stood out for you in what I did in addressing Melinda's objections that maybe you would want to start using for yourself when you coach people through objections?
I loved how you acknowledged her, but then also shared your own experience, right? And be like, hey, I totally feel you. It was the same for me. It is very scary. But also showing that it is worth it, right? That you're an example of how it can be worth it. And I liked how you always brought it back to her, right? How can you fully show up for yourself? How can you trust yourself? It's not about having to sell you as a coach, but showing her that she can show up for herself, I guess.
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that, Jessie. Right, so actually an acknowledgement is, I think, the most important part, right? When someone says basically they're scared, holy shit, I've never spent this amount of money before, acknowledge them and say, yeah, I get it. And I've been there, and I hear you. And when you start off with acknowledgement, the rest is, I feel like, piece of cake.
Acknowledgement is also something that happens multiple times. Like I used to teach a class on empathy, and this is a repeated cycle. You may have heard of like the empathy sandwich in some ways, or like, you know, sandwiching good, bad, good. I don't believe in the bad part, but it's like acknowledging where they come from and then stating the next thing and then asking questions to open up where they're at from there. And you just rinse and repeat over and over again. So, okay, money objection comes up. Okay, cool. We get to a good place. Okay, now new objection comes up. We just keep going through it. And the acknowledgement is one of the single easiest pieces to miss. And it'll kick you in the butt too if you don't do it. So keep coming back to acknowledging them for being open about it, because it's kind of scary sometimes to say, I got problems with something out loud.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
You know what else too that comes to mind is that what somebody, $7,000 might not be very much for one person, and it might be a freaking, like, you know, in their mind, $100,000, you know? So, and for some people, and you don't know, you really don't know what that person's, where they feel comfortable. And so acknowledging it anytime, whatever amount, you know, I think makes a difference.
Yeah.
I also love the fact that, yeah, from Melinda's point is that is the place where you find out whether that sum is totally off for them. You know, you could offer 7K package, but what they can pay for is 700, and that gives you then the option to come back and then readjust your price, and I mean your offering. I come up with something else, and I think also here is important that sometimes people really cannot pay that sum, and you know, we're not going to push them into
Right.
you know, so the objection that comes, like in your case with Melinda, it was I understood that you could probably afford it, but if somebody tells me on a call that I'm really, really, you know, at the edge of my finances, I'd pull back probably.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, at least what do you guys think about? Because I know that, I mean, do you guys know what I mean?
It sounds like you're kind of asking, like, how do you tell the difference between someone who like really can't pay and maybe someone who's using money as an objection because they're scared to commit and or some other type of reason.
Yeah.
And that's a really great question. And I think it's just about practicing using your intuition. And the more you do this, the better you'll get at, and you'll be able to, you know, kind of feel into what's not being said and to guide someone that way. And
I also think, like, for someone that maybe at that moment they can't pay, but they really do want to be coached, and maybe they really can't stretch themselves at that moment, eventually it'll come back. That's just because I know I've had situations where I'm like, oh, that's expensive right now, where I'm at right now. But, and coaches that I've had in the past, or that I'm even looking at for the future, you know, like packages that I'm like, oh, I can see where I'm going to need this person. And, but right now they're expensive for me, but they're in my mind. And I know that when I'm in a different spot, I'm reaching out to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's never, and it feels like it makes me also more prepared for them, because maybe at that moment I also had to work on some things so that my experience could be better with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
there's a business coach I want to hire this fall. Actually, I know I've been wanting to hire her since January, and she's more than 10 grand. And I'm just like, honestly, I don't want to spend that right now. I'm focusing on having a baby, but I know I'm going to hire her in the future. And I know that I can save up for that. And I have her on my vision board. And so, yeah, it's totally okay, you know, to have a no right now. And it doesn't mean that, like, it's not going to happen. It's just, like you said, I kind of want some time to prepare and plan and save up. And that's okay. It's totally okay.
Because to me, there's people that Krista, you're one of them, that I'm like, I'm on furlough, I can't right now, even though you gave me your packaging, but I'm like, it's not wise. But I'm like, when I get myself back up, I'm going to reach to you. And then there's others that I've looked at that I'm like, when I'm at a different level and I want to grow even more, So, but
Yeah.
so I think nothing's wasted.
Of course. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
Okay, so I have my timekeeper here in my ear. I'm so grateful for Monica. She's so good with this. So Monica, we have 10 minutes left. What are you thinking?
I'm actually thinking we're going to skip the final breakout session just because we have a little bit more content to throw to everyone. However, you've made new friends today. So if you want to practice objections with each other, I would encourage you to reach out to each other on Facebook and maybe set up a time to do that. Because objections, honestly, that's the part that takes the longest to practice too. So like you could probably spend an hour doing that together. So I would say on that one, just reach out to your buddy. But at this time, we can transition really quickly into celebrating. You have a new client. That has to do with some of what we've talked about too, is maybe scheduling a follow-up call or giving them next steps. Is there a questionnaire they need to fill out? Do you need to add them to a Facebook group? Is there an invoice that's going to be coming their way? Let them know what they're going to see next. So it's not just like, okay, cool, we signed up. Give them the next step so they know it's coming. Remember, adults like to know what's coming. If they are a no or even a maybe, you can, if they're a maybe, that's the one where you may want to set up a follow-up time with them and also coach them further. If they're a no, then that's where you want to thank them still for a call, and then you can always refer them out if that feels good, or refer them back to some of your free offerings, get them on your mailing list, something to that effect. Anything to add to that, Krista?
I mean, yeah, just keep it simple. I'm just going to kind of quickly say what Monica said. So there's 3 different options. You're going to get a yes, a maybe, or a no. I know a lot of times sales can feel really overwhelmed. Let's keep it simple. Either yes, maybe, or no. Yes, tell them what are next steps towards getting started with you. For me, that looks like, okay, I'm going to send you a contract. In the contract, there's going to be a place for you to put your credit card details. Then I'm going to send you a questionnaire and then my scheduling link. Boom. Easy, right? If you get a maybe, schedule a follow-up call for about, maybe 48 hours later or a week later, based off what their schedule is. If you get a no, refer them to someone else, either like a therapist or another coach, or invite them to your Facebook group, invite them to your YouTube channel, invite them, give them your freebie, have them walk away with something. I don't like having people walk away empty-handed. So that's kind of how I look at it. And my mind gets overwhelmed really easily. So I'm like, I need steps and I need to keep it simple. Let's see, Jessie said, still got a question. I had a connection call with someone recently where she first was saying she needs to check in with her partner, but then on the follow-up, she was like, actually, I have enough support right now and need to just chill. Felt like it was a bit of bullshit, but it was hard to poke her on it. How would you manage that? Yeah, I've had that situation happen as well, Jessie, and I feel like use your intuition. And I actually asked my business coach about this a couple months ago, and like, you have nothing to lose if you want to challenge her. And you can say that, like, you can invite her onto another call and just say like something along the lines of like, I know you were so excited about putting her original goal. Remind her of what she originally came in with and like challenge her, just like I did with Melinda, right? Like Melinda was here, she's wanting to hire me because she's putting everyone's needs ahead of her own. And then she's like, well, but I can't do this because I have to support my family. And I'm like, yeah, but the original reason you came on the call is because you said that you want to start supporting yourself more, so how can we do that? So what's that bringing up for you, Jessie?
Yeah, totally. I think it was just like she brought up this very hard front of like, she was also a coach, and she was like, I'm a coach myself, and I know like I don't need this right now. I have enough support. I have many people around me. And but the funny thing was, like, the week before that, we had a sample coaching session, and during that, she was like, oh my God, I've learned more in this 1 hour than I've learned in the last year. And I was like, wait a minute, like, if that's true, then I don't really understand how she could say that she has all the support. She was very guarded though, so I felt like from my intuition, I was like, I don't, I felt like she was scared of losing face, if that makes sense. So it was kind of hard to manage that situation. So I was more like, okay, I understand, and yeah.
Yeah, so something like that, you can be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear that you got so much out of that hour call. Can you imagine if we work together for the next 6 months, what's going to be possible for you to create? Like, just I think add on to that and let her know what the possibilities are.
Yeah.
All right. So we're coming to the end of our time here. I want to honor everyone's time in case people have other things going on. So really, that is the whole process of the sales call. A lot of these things can be used within other methods of marketing or selling as well. So, get kind of creative with how you want to expand this process within your other selling, or whether it's direct messaging or anything like that too. Just heads up on a couple logistical things. Our next workshop is going to be in July. We don't know the date or the topic yet, but we'll post in the Build Your Life Coaching Biz group as soon as we have that all settled. We'd love to see you all there. We also are still planning on having our heart-based sales retreat in September, which will be an expansion of this and digging into much more having to do with selling, coming from a place of love and connection. Details will be announced on that. We have a backup plan virtually if it comes down to that, but stay tuned. We'll be posting more about that as we get a little bit further. We'd love to welcome you all. Colorado is beautiful here in September, so lots of aspen leaves changing. Energy is really, really cool. And then just a couple quick things. This is a donation-based workshop, so if you want to throw a donation our way, we'd greatly appreciate it. If not, that's okay too. I'm going to drop my PayPal link in the comments here. And then also, one thing we would really love is if you would, and we have a few minutes left, we'll be ending right on time. If you have a few minutes to do it right away, that's really important, is to leave us a review on our Facebook page. And I'm just going to enter in these links here. Super helpful for us to get feedback from you. We wanted to keep it simple this time, and doing it right away ensures that it stays fresh in your mind. This is why electronic feedback is kind of hard, because if you don't do it right away, then nobody does it. So would love any feedback you have on this workshop. You can just click that link and throw us a shout out. We would really love that. So Krista, any final wrap up items?
Yeah, and just remember, one of the most amazing things that you can do for coaches and small business owners are leave positive reviews. And so that would mean so much to us. And I didn't even mention at the beginning, but I have my own brand, the Krista Kathleen coaching brand. Monica has her own public speaking brand, but then we also created our Fearless Public Speaking brand together as well. And so that's why it's our Fearless Public Speaking page, because we're Renaissance women. We want to do all the things, and we have a hard time committing to just one thing. So, but yeah. So as you can see, like I said, yeah, it's a donation-based class today. Some of you already paid. If you want to make a donation, you can do the Venmo donation there, or use Monica's PayPal link. And then there's the link to leave a review on our public speaking page. And other than that, we are so grateful that you took the time to be here with us today. It means so much to us. And I'd just love to hear, maybe if you guys real quick, like what is, you said in the beginning something that you wanted to walk away with from this class. So what did you find the most useful for yourself today? If you want to come on camera, if you want to type in the chat, but I'd just love to hear from some of you. What did you find the most useful from today's workshop? And you can put this in your review as well. Jesse said, definitely the role play with Krista and Melinda was so beautiful. See how you managed that. The objections, Krista. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. I was going to admit I was a little nervous to do it, but I was like, I can do this. I've been doing this for years in my coach training classes. Just having everyone watch you, it's so nerve-wracking. Kelsey said, learning to treat my business as my business. What my business needs is not necessarily tied to me. Yeah, cool. I'm glad that landed, Kelsey. Christy said, I now have the clarity to process. Perfect. Also want to let you all know too, I created a worksheet. So we will send the replay to you, and we'll do a worksheet as well that has all these steps in this process. So be expecting that email within the next 24 hours. Okay, any last final thoughts, comments, concerns before we hop off?
I'll do it because I'm typing and it takes me forever to type. So I'm just remembering to ask for permission. And then I loved what you said about acknowledging that they showed up. And I think that was something that Jessie said, but then you talked more about it. And I love that because I think we don't acknowledge enough for our clients. And that's such a great skill.
Yeah, double
Thank
permission. Yeah, yeah, the power of acknowledgement is so huge. So huge. Cool. All right.
For me, sorry, I'm more like you instead of the typing.
Yeah.
For me, it's wrapping my mind on, it's wrapping my mind that like, wow, you know, as a coach, I can be worth $1,000, like creating a package where the person's spending that much and asking for it. I think when you're new in the business, you do feel inadequate when you're like, do I have, you know, am I good enough to ask for that, or just stick with the one-on-one, I'm $75 worth of, you know, like for an hour session, like how some people you see start off. So it's kind of nice to know that it's really changing your mind that yes, you are. You just have to change your perception that you have of yourself, your mindset, and then go after it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was kind of cool to see that, like,
Cool. I love that you had that mindset shift. And yeah, just remember, like, people love investing in themselves, right? That's the story we all need to start creating for ourselves, because it's true. People love to invest in themselves. People love to spend money to get results. And they're just out there. They're out there searching right now. They are searching for the right coach and the right offer. And if we're not putting ourselves out there, then how are they going to say yes? And how are we going to make money? And how are we going to change people's lives? So that's why Monica and I feel like this work is so important, because if you guys don't feel excited and empowered in your sales process, then you're not going to go out there and you're not going to do it. And we want you to be selling every week in your business. So that's my little motivational speaker side of me coming out.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you everybody so much, and we look forward to seeing you again in July. And you know, feel free to drop us a note too on your successes or questions that come up as you use this process too.
Yeah. And good luck on your connection call, Jessie. Yay.
Yes.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.